Good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to be back at Mussar Mondays. We left off last week, and we spoke about the importance of stopping, thinking, evaluating. What is right, what is wrong in our value system, and then asking ourselves, are our actions in the category of the right or in the wrong, the good or the bad? And then we said if they're in the wrong, we have to correct them. But even if they're in their good, we're doing the good, is the good with the full positive intention. All right? And we said that it's something that we need to evaluate every single day. Every day we need to evaluate again and again. Are my actions properly in the category of good? Or is it a good deed with the wrong intention? All right, so we might go back a little bit, okay? Okay, so he says like this. Now, this directive is given by those who rule over their inclination. Ki ha'etza mitit hazot, because this sound and true advice lo yuchlu latet ota v'lo lirot hamita, could not be given, nor could its truth be discerned, ela otam shekvar yatsu mitachat yad yitzram, except by those who have already escaped the dominion of their evil inclination, umashlubo, and have instead ruled over it. For if one is still imprisoned by the shackles of his evil inclination, his eyes do not discern the truth. Right? If someone's in darkness, he doesn't realize how dark it is because it doesn't have light to compare. Right? And cannot recognize it. Because the Yetzer Hara blinds his eyes, that you can't even see the truth. It's like one who walks in the dark, and there are obstacles in front of him, but his eyes cannot see them. And this is what our sages of blessed memory said, Tashet choshech vayihi laila. You make darkness and it is light. Explaining this verse refers to this world, which is comparable to the night. Ramchal elaborates the depth inherent in this seemingly simple exposition by the sages. Okay. V'haven. So that's where we left off last week. V'haven. He says, let's understand something. How true this dictum is. But one who delves into it to understand it fully. Consider that the darkness of night can bring about can confound man's vision in two ways. Number one, either it will obscure the vision completely until you cannot see what is in front of him at all, or the darkness could mislead someone by producing shadowy images, where a pillar may seem to be like a person, and a person you might misconstrue for being a pillar. Right? So imagine this. You have two types of darkness. Sometimes you have a darkness that is so dark that you don't know what's in front of you. You have no idea, nothing. You can't see anything. You're about to trip on anything or hit the corner of your bed. I think it's the worst, right? That's the worst, right? Okay, right? So that's option number one. What's option number two? is you see something there, but you can't discern what it is. Is it a human? Is it a pole? Right? Is it what is it? You don't know what it is. So which one is worse? Not being able to see anything, or seeing something and being confused with what you're seeing?
At least you know there's something.
Well, in this world where it's not dark, during the day, we have the same dilemma. The dilemma presents itself either sometimes you don't see because we're too immersed in our materialistic world, or we see things, we think they're good, and they're not good. Right? We can totally misconstrue what is good and what is not good. That's a problem. So he says, "Kain chomriyut v'gashmiyut olam hazeh." So too the physicality and material nature of this world. Hinehu choshech halayla le'en hasechel. This world is in fact the darkness of night in the mind's eye. V'gorem lo shtei to'yot. And this darkness causes a man to err in two ways. Ha'achat eino meniach lo shireh michshalot shebedarkei ha'olam. One is that it does not allow him to see the pitfalls that are ever present in the paths of this world. Hanimtzaim v'nimtzaim haptaim holchim levetach. As a result of this lack of perception, the foolish one walks along his merry way with false confidence. Right? I had an individual, he was a very bright man, very successful in his business. He told me, "Where were you 40 years ago?" He never thought he made a mistake in his life. He went with all the confidence in the world. And suddenly, he sees that there's a part of this world he was totally disconnected from, the world of Torah. And he sort of has, it's a sad thing for someone to feel regret for 40 years of his life because he missed out. He missed out on an experience. He missed out on they say, our sages tell us, that when you learn something new, and it's like a new light turns on in your head, like, so profound. Hopefully that happens every class. I hope we learn new things every day. He says, you know what that means? He says it means that till now you were sleeping. Because you didn't see that light. You didn't see that wisdom. You didn't see that perspective. And we're living in a world which is, pushing this narrative of, we're advanced and we're progressive and we're open, and perhaps we might be one of the more closed generations ever. Right? We're open in certain areas, but way closed. The door is shut in many, many other areas. So here we walk around with this confidence, with this false confidence that we got it right, and meanwhile we could be going down the wrong path. And they fall into sin and are lost without ever realizing that there was cause to fear. And this is what the scripture means when it states, the path of the wicked is like darkness. They know not upon what they stumble. They don't even realize that they stumbled. They don't even realize how crazy they've become. Right? It's to the point where there are people like this. There are people who think there was a famous or infamous. There was an infamous murderer who was there was a national search for this individual, and they were closing in on him. And he wrote a letter before he died, I think he killed himself. But he wrote a letter that here is a man who's sensitive and delicate and cared about people, and I never murdered anyone, right, that was going to have a good life. I only murdered people, right? He has this whole convoluted reason, right, of how he's merciful in helping these people. Or you have people who rob banks so that they give charity to their church or to their, right? Really? Right? And they justify it. Then you can't, it's like, Because I heard once someone tell me, he says, what do you mean? It makes a lot of sense. What do you mean? It's not your money. It's just your decision what to do with that money. I'm just taking away that decision from you. It's not the money, right? The money is the money of the world, whatever. It doesn't... It's craziness, right? People can justify the most ridiculous behavior because of their own wants or wishes. The path of the wicked is like darkness. They know not upon what they stumble. And he says, another verse, right over there in Proverbs, Arum ra'a ra'a, the clever person sees evil and hides, vinistar, uptayim avru v'nenshu, but fools go on and are punished. Right? So there's a difference between a clever person. A clever person sees evil and hides, runs away from it. Right? Even an animal, I think he's going to bring the example of an animal. An animal understands danger and runs for its life. It sees danger, it sees the lion is coming out. What does he do? Runs for his life. And here we have people, human beings, with hopefully some element of intellect in their minds, and they see danger and they do nothing about it. They do nothing about the danger that they're noticing. Ve'omer, in another verse in Proverbs, Uchsil mit'aber ubotech. A third verse says, a wise man fears and turns away from evil, but a fool forges on and is confident. Again, it's that same idea. Doesn't stop. People don't stop. Ki libam bari lahem ke'ulam. For the heart of fools is as robust as a great hall. V'noflim terem yedu me'amichshol klal. And they fall before becoming aware of any obstacle at all. So it's a big problem. People don't notice that what they're doing perhaps is not righteous. Perhaps what they're doing is not good. Perhaps it'll have negative impact on themselves, on their family, on their children, on their future generations. Right? People make decisions not based on something which is smart. I'm not gonna pick, but I have a bunch of because this is being published online right now. I'll choose not to choose, but after class, if you remind me, I'll give you an example which I think is absolutely destroying the future generation of our children, and the vast majority of parents have no problem without even thinking or blinking an eye. All right? Eric knows. Eric knows already. What is it? What do you say? There you go. Very good. That's right. Where people are sending their children to completely secular environments, where the conduct and behavior of these young adults is absolutely, unconscionable, chaotic at best, and it's total.
Yeah, it is.
Right, and then people come to me and ask me, we don't know what to do. Our son is dating a non-Jewish girl. Right? What are we going to do about this? I mean, Rabbi, can you talk to him? Like, talk to him, right? Yeah. Why do you send him to a place where this is the majority? Why do you to me, it doesn't make any sense. What do you mean he has to get an education? So only people in UT get education, right? Come on. I really don't understand that. It's something that we have to think about, right?
You can't even send them to Brandeis anymore.
There are plenty of options. The idea is like this. So we have in our world many, many challenges that if we don't open up our eyes, we won't even know that they are challenges. We won't even know that they exist. And that's what Ramchal is telling us. He says you need to evaluate, A, what is good and what is bad. And then put it into your life. What in your life that you do or you decide is good for your children, maybe it does not fit into that value system. I had an individual, he says to me, Rabbi, for me, the most important thing is that I marry a Jewish girl. Like, absolutely, 1,000%, I'm marrying a Jewish girl. But recently I realized that it's not easy to date Jewish girls, so I started dating them. I'm not going to marry, but I'm just going to date non-Jews. I said, what do you think happens when you date?
Yeah,
When you date, usually, most people get engaged after they date. And most people marry after they date. So if you're going to date non-Jews, you're probably going to marry a non-Jew. Right? You understand? It's like, but people don't think about that.
How can you not?
Well, people don't think beyond here, now. Instead of thinking out of the okay. See, he says, Ze haolam, this world. The verse refers to this world, which is comparable to, to night. See, he says like this, that we fall. I know, as I just went back to the beginning of where we started, that is the challenge. The challenge is that with this world we're in is like night. It's darkness. We don't see tree from human, from right, from wrong. And that's what we have to just stop. And I guarantee you that most people today totally understand what it means good and what it means bad. The problem is that they don't take the time to evaluate. Put it down on paper. If you take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and put it on the left side good and the right side bad. Okay? And then just make a list. List 10 good things and 10 bad things. Okay? Murder. Everyone agrees murder is bad? Okay, great. Stealing, right? Yeah, bad. Let's talk about the positives. Kindness, doing acts of kindness? Yes, great. Make a list. Learning Torah, of course. And then start looking at your own day, at your own life, at your own decisions, and see what fits into what category. And then from there, you say, okay, I'm learning Torah. I'm coming to Torch classes, great. But then the next question is, am I coming for my own spiritual connection to Hashem, or do I come because it's just nice? I like to see Rabbi Wolbe. He's funny sometimes, right? Sometimes he's not, right? Right? It's a lovely environment. There are nice people there. It's my outing for the week, right? Is that the reason, or is it coming because I want to connect to Hashem and I want to learn and I want to grow? A person needs to evaluate this. Right? A person needs to evaluate this. Okay, so now. Just, you probably thought the class starts at 7:30, and you're on time for that. But we started at 7 o'clock just this week. Just this week is the last week. Next week we're back to the 7:30 schedule. All right, I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay, you're exactly on time. You would have been here earlier than me, so it's great. I'm sorry, it's uncomfortable for me to be before you, right? To be here earlier than you. Well, yes, unacceptable. All right, so the second error that is caused by the darkness of this world, is much more difficult than the first. The second error is worse because there's one problem. Problem number one, you don't know what is good, what is bad. The second problem is much worse, is you see bad and think it's good. It almost like it becomes a mitzvah to do the wrong thing. And people can justify that in their own delusional mind, right? Is that the darkness distorts people's perception until they regard evil as if it were truly good. Ve'hatov ki'ilu hu ra, and the good as if it were evil. Umitoch kach mitchazkim umachzikim ma'aseim haraim, and because of this, they become bold and reinforce their evil deeds. Right? So it's not only step number one, they don't know the difference between good and bad. But now they see good, they think it's bad. They see bad, they think it's good. It's unbelievable. We have a lot of that in this world. It's not enough for them that in their blindness they lack the capacity to perceive the truth, to see the evil that is right in front of their faces. But they even think that they have found powerful proofs and compelling evidence born of experience for their perverse theories and their false opinions. I'm going to bring you proof that my wrong opinion is right. Right? That's how humanity has gone wrong. Vizoti hara'ah hagdola, and this deception is the great evil. Hamilafaftam umeviatam el be'er shachat, that wraps around them and brings them all the way to the pit of destruction and Gehinnom. Imagine someone comes to this world and they're told when they're a child, you know, all that counts in this world is driving a nice car, having a pretty wife, living in a nice neighborhood with a beautiful home, having children who go to college, and that's a successful life. Everyone's going to say, whoa, wow, did you see the car he drives? Did you see how immaculate how beautiful his home is, and how it's just like the chandeliers and the granite and everything, or whatever they use today? It's stunning. And his children, everything is about an image. So a person can live his entire life thinking that, well, that's the pursuit of happiness, right? Without learning that the Torah tells us there is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is a frame of mind, right? You either have it or you don't. You don't arrive one day and say, oh, it says happiness, we're here. We have arrived, right? You right? And a person can be spending their entire life pursuing that. And then what happens? Comes the end of the life and they're like, okay, what did I accomplish? Well, I did have a nice car. I did have a nice family. But I didn't connect to God at all. What a waste would that be? I didn't have an opportunity. I didn't share. I wasn't kind. There's a lot that we need to evaluate in our lives. So the Ramchal here continues. A scriptural reference for the second type of blindness is as follows. But who am I, right? Remember, when we spoke about Talmud, remember what we said? Is that everything needs to be sourced, right? And what we're seeing here is Ramchal is giving statements and backing it up with verses from the Tanakh. You don't have a right to make a statement in Judaism if you don't have proof for what you're saying. And the Ramchal, who lived about 250 years ago, or 200 years ago, is doing what we all need to do when we say something in the name of the Torah, is bring the verse to back it up. And he's doing that right here. He did that before, and he's going to do it again now. And so what's the scriptural reference? And this is what scripture means when it states in Yeshaya, in Isaiah, Hashmen lev ha'am hazeh ve'oznav hachbed ve'einav hosha pen. This nation is fattening its heart, hardening its ears, and sealing its eyes, lest it see with its eyes, hear with its ears, and understand with its heart, so that it will repent and be healed. Right? So we're closing our ears. I don't want to hear anything, right? Closing our ears, shutting our eyes, and hardening our heart so we don't get the message. So I don't want to see. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'm enjoying things the way it is right now. Don't tell me. I don't want to know how to become a better person. I don't care. Leave me alone.
What's the first thing I say?
So, returning to the advice of those who rule over their Yetzer Hara, right? Returning to that premise that Ramchal began with, Ramchal now explains why they are uniquely suited to guide a person through the darkened pathways of the world. So listen, he says, V'chol zeh mipnei yotam tachat choshech. Now all of this deception affects ordinary people because they are still under the oppression of darkness. Ukvushim heima tachat memshalat Yisrael, and they are subdued under the rule of their evil inclination. Imprisoned by the darkness, they are incapable of knowing which path to take. Ach, otam shekvar yetzu min ha'ma'asar hazeh, but those who have already escaped from these shackles, heim ro'im ha'emet la'amito. They are capable of seeing the absolute truth. V'yicholim li'etz shar bnei adam alav, and therefore can advise other people regarding it. So, how do we? Today, it's an amazing thing. We have on my phone. I have this app, and I'm sure most of you have the ability to download this app if you have anything more advanced than a flip phone, right? There's an app called H.com. There's another app called TorahAnytime.com. There's an app called iTunes, which has podcasts, and you can subscribe to hundreds of Torah podcasts. Of course, you want to make sure you subscribe to RabbiYaakovWolbe.com, right? To his 6 different, I think he's starting a 7th channel soon. We have on our fingertips the ability to be inspired and to hear the words of Hashem. And yet, how many actually choose to do that? Instead, we want to watch the finals. Are they still playing the finals? Where's it holding?
It's 1-1.
It's 1-1. All right? And there are people who that's more important to them than studying Torah. Right? But we have the ability today on our fingertips. Here, look over here in these shelves over here, we have the remarkable work of the Schottenstein edition Talmud published by ArtScroll, where every single word of the Talmud is translated into English. It used to be that learning Talmud was a very difficult task because what can I understand from Talmud? It's Aramaic. It's ancient Aramaic text. How am I supposed to understand it? If I'm not a linguist and I don't speak Aramaic, I really can't learn it. So it was only for the scholars in yeshivas who learn Talmud. Today, anybody can learn Talmud. Anybody. It's easy. Today, you look at this magnificent Levitt family library, right? All English books available with such incredible content. And it's easy. All we got to do is want to do it. Yes?
So, who makes a decision of what's right and what's wrong?
Well, first is Hashem does.
Oh, but
Okay, and you do
I'm
too.
not a prophet.
Right. But he gave us a Torah. And in that Torah, it's very clearly defined what is good and what is bad. What Hashem considers to be good and what Hashem considers to be bad. Now, you also have your own judgment, and I believe that the intellect that God gave you gives you the ability to pick the right thing every time.
But don't we all see things through our own eyes, though?
Sure. That's the thing.
If something good to me might not be good to you.
One second. Because we see things through our own eyes, we have our own prejudice.
Yeah.
That's exactly the idea. We have our own prejudice. We see it through my eyes because it's like, imagine this, right? You know the biggest problem. You know the biggest problem with people who make a mistake.
They don't know that. They don't own up to it.
No. The first time they apologize. The second time, right? So I'll tell you, someone who's rushing, you have your reserved spot right in front of synagogue, right? You paid a lot of money for that spot, you got the reserved spot. So it says parking for David only, right? All violators will be prosecuted and your car will be towed at owner's expense, okay? And someone parks in your spot. So you walk over and say, listen, hey, I paid for the spot. If you don't mind, please respect, it's basic courtesy. It's, He says, listen, I was late. I'm sorry. I ran in. I'm sorry. Okay. Reasonable, right? What happens the second time? You go over and you say, hey, buddy. He says, listen, you don't own it. It's not your property, okay? What happens the next time? Right? What happens is soon it almost becomes a mitzvah for them to do it, to park in your spot. And they justify it because people don't like to be wrong. So we justify our wrong, our misdeeds, right? And people do. And now we look at it from as an outsider, what do we say? That's crazy. Why would someone do that? But the reality is that people do that. People justify their wrongdoings. So if you're late for a meeting, so the first time, I'm really sorry, right? And then second time, third time, fourth time, eventually what happens is you may, I don't know anyone who's late, but you may, right, say, what are people such sticklers, such stuck-up people? You got to be on time for everything? Like it's such a, And they start thinking negatively, perhaps, about those who actually have a book about that. I wonder why, right? But have a book about that, and in that book, it talks about the tendencies that people who are punctually challenged, right? What their frame of mind is, and what they think. And the worst thing is justifying the wrong. If you know you're wrong and you're sorry for being late, whatever happened, it happens. Or people see time as very different, in very different ways. But it's not only that. It's someone was telling me that there was someone who should not be getting government benefits in one of the states in the East Coast. Someone was getting government programs, and the person said to him, I understand, you're making a fortune of money. I know because I work for you. You're making a fortune of money. Why are you getting these benefits? Why? He said, what do you mean? It's a mitzvah for me to take it. They're giving it out anyway. What do you should go to somebody else?
Oh my goodness.
They're justifying it. You understand? If you say, you know what? Listen, it's hard for me to get off it. They just you're justifying it. That's the craziness of this world. The craziness that we're living with is that we're justifying our wrongdoings. If you say, it's a mistake, you're right, I shouldn't. And hopefully one day I'll be able to get myself off this habit, this crutch. But to justify it, it's a mitzvah now. Okay? So, returning to the advice of those who rule over their Yetzer Hara, Ramchal now explains why they are uniquely suited to guide a person through the darkened pathway of this world. Oh, sorry. So next paragraph. To illustrate this point, Ramchal draws a striking analogy. Ha lema ze domeh. What is this compared to? Legana mevucha, to a garden maze. A garden maze. Hugana natua litzchok. Right? And this is the type of garden that is planted for amusement. Like think of a how do you call it, garden? They have these beautiful botanical garden. It's like a whole maze. You're going through, seeing these walkways, and you see beautiful flowers, and this type of flower, that type of flower. Hayadua etzel asarim, of the kind that is popular among the nobility, right? The people who are higher up. They go to this garden that is planted for amusement, for your pleasure, for you to enjoy. Shanetiyos asuyos kisolim, and these gardens, the plantings are arranged as many walls of hedges. Ubeineim shvilim rabim nivochim u'ma'oravim, and between the hedgerows, there are many confusing and interconnected paths. Kulam domim zelazan, they all resemble one another. Ve'atachlis bamhu la'agia la'achsadra achas shebe'emtza'am. And the goal of all of these maze paths is to reach the single pavilion in the center. Right? Everything goes to the center. Now in truth, these paths, though very similar, are not the same. Mehem Yesharim umegios be'emezel achsadra. Some paths are truly guiding you straight to the pavilion, to the center. Umehem mashkim esa'ado marchikim osam imeno. And others paths mislead the person and take him further away from the pavilion, right? Because of all the turns and the little things, right? So you have some go straight to the center. Others you can end up much further away because you're going on all these turny, different parts of the garden. You don't end up where you want to end up. Now one who's walking among the path of the maze, hu lo yuchal lirot v'ladat klal im hu b'shvil hamiti or b'kozev. The person who's actually walking in this maze and is lost, right? He cannot see or otherwise know that he is not on the correct path, but on the false path. He has no idea. Because all he thinks is continue going, and he'll eventually get to the middle. Meanwhile, what do we know? He's going way the wrong direction. He's going totally the wrong way. Unless he knows the way through being familiar and having recognition. He knows, oh, this oak tree. Then you make a left turn over there, and then you'll get to the center. He has no idea, so he makes a right. When in doubt, turn right. Right? So he makes another right. He goes in, right? He could be going totally opposite direction, not knowing the right way to go. So he says, there is another way, though, for even a novice to find the way to the pavilion at the Mesa Center. So the example he brings is clear. It's a good example, right? Everyone wants to get to the center, the sights that you can see there. It's magnificent. But how do we get there? How do we get there? Walk through the maze, but I may be going the wrong way. It's like the example we gave on a much simpler level, right? So you tell your friend, okay, we're going to meet in San Antonio. No problem. I'm getting in my car now. I'm going to be driving. I'll see you there in 2.5, 3 hours. You get on the I-10 and you start going I-10 east, right? And you're going I-10 east and you're going and he calls you up. He says, Lou, so where are you holding? You know, he says, well, I'm about to get into Louisiana because, right? He says, what are you talking about? What are you doing? He says, what do you mean? I-10, you go straight, right? Did you go in the wrong direction? You're going in the wrong direction. So how do we find out if we're going in the wrong direction? See, he says like this. One who's already standing upon the pavilion at the Mesa Center, he sees, he from the center sees all the ways. He knows exactly where everyone needs to, right? All the paths spread out before him. And he can distinguish between the correct and false paths. And he is thus able to call out and tell those walking through the maze, telling them, this is the path you should take. Take this path. One who wishes to follow and believe what he says, will reach the proper destination, the center of the maze. One who does not wish to trust this individual, and he just wants to follow his own direction, he will certainly remain lost and will not reach the destination. That's the challenge we're facing. So how do we know? How do we know how to get to that center of that maze? And that center of that maze, obviously, is our proper place in the world to come, in Olam Haba. How do we get there? We can't wait till we're 80 years old and say, you know what, now I'm going to try to get on the right path. Maybe you're not going to have enough time to get there. So how do we get there? We have to start asking questions. Where do we go? What do I do? Do I make a right? Do I make a left? Tell me, you've been here for a while. You know how to get to the center? Can you guide me? Right? You can ask someone. Right? That's the Torah that we have. The Torah is the guide. The Torah is the guide that helps us get to the destination we are seeking. And that's the goal here. So he says as follows. He says, "Kena davar hazeh." So it is with this matter. Mi shadayin lo mashal b'yitzro, one who has not yet become ruler over his evil inclination, hu betoch hashvilim, he is still among the paths, shelo yuchal avchin benehem, and is unable to distinguish between them. Ach hamashlim b'yitzram, but those who rule over their evil inclination, shekvar higyu el achsader, who are already, they have reached that pavilion, that center area, that is beautiful and magnificent, the goal, right? You think about people who try to climb the mountain, right? So they're looking, they see the mountain, they see the top of the mountain, but they have no idea what trail is going to get them there, right? They get on the wrong trail, they end up in on the East Coast, God forbid, right? So, right, instead of getting to where they need to be. Those who rule over their evil inclinations, they already emerged from the paths. And they have exalted, from their exalted vantage point, where they're standing, from the summit, right, have now seen all the ways clearly before their eyes. They can advise whoever wishes to listen. And they are the ones we must trust. Okay, I want to share with you a quick story. And those of you who are with, got a bunch of those who were with me on the trip to Israel. Hopefully we're going to take another trip to Israel, and hopefully you'll all come along with us, and all of our friends online. Make sure you get online for that trip, because it was an amazing trip. But one of the great privileges we had, we'll see. We're going to schedule it soon. We're going to announce it. But one of the great privileges we had was to meet with former movie star Uri Zohar, Rabbi Uri Zohar. We actually have his book here. My friends, we've been robbed. You want to bring it here? I'll just Scott. You want to bring it here? All right, it's in the shelf 12, number 12 in the middle. Yep, that's it. Thank you so much. So this is Rabbi Uri Zohar, and I'll show you the back cover. You see, for our friends online, you see that's the back cover. But the front cover, you see his picture and the backdrop are all of when he was an actor, right? He was Israel's, I don't know, what would you call him? Israel's Johnny Carson?
Comedian, right?
Comedian, but he was the it of Israel, of Israeli culture. He was the everything. That's right, and that's the group with Rabbi Uri Zohar today. If you look at the picture, right? Unbelievable. It was an unbelievable experience we had. It's funny because the group asked. We asked him, Rabbi, is it okay that we take a picture with you? He says, of course. He says, I am in the Hollywood business, right? And right, remember that? So this is my profession, right? Taking pictures and being in front of cameras, and he was just so amazing. But someone once said to him, it's really amazing what you've done. You were on the other side, and you came to the side of the Torah, and you left everything. Isn't that amazing? You left everything. He says, you want to know what's more amazing? He says, I'll tell you why it's not amazing. He says, because I was on the other side, I know there's nothing there. He says, you want to know what's amazing? He says, I'll tell you what's amazing. That you have a boy in Bnei Brak who grows up in a religious family and stays there. He looks out and sees a world that seems to be all lights and glitter and everything is just so perfect in the world outside, and he doesn't know what it really is. And still he stays. Right? He says, that boy is far greater than me. That boy is far greater than me. Right? He says, me? I know there's nothing there. I know it's vacant. I know it's empty. So for me, it wasn't a big deal to leave. Think about it. Here's a guy who, when he showed up to his work as an actor still, he showed up with tzitzit and a yarmulke. And everybody started laughing because they said this is his next show. Like he's probably preparing on a script for something. They thought he was just kidding around. And he said, no, I'm serious. And they said, this guy's hysterical. He's playing his role so well. And then, it was day after day, week after week, month after month, and they're like, uh-oh, he went to the dark side. Right? Dark side. Right. He went, right? But and Rabbi Uri Zohar, I used to hear him on the radio in Israel. He used to have a radio program. Now he's much older. He's in his 80s already. But we had the unbelievable privilege to see him. By the way, you see him pray. He prays like an angel. Like an angel. You see, I saw him standing and praying. He's like an angel standing in front of the throne of Hashem, with such incredible awe and fear of the Almighty. It's unbelievable to see the man. Just a holy Jew, a real holy Jew. He said he doesn't have time. So what he used to do is he felt very, very bad for all of the things that he's done prior to becoming a Shomer Shabbos Jew, to becoming a Torah observant Jew. He was very upset about the things he did before. So he was offering $10 back in the 90s. He was on the radio. He says, anybody who has my videos, right? My videos from the VHS videos. Anybody who has one, I want to buy it back for $10, which is much more than it actually costed. I want to buy it back, right? And he was buying them back to destroy them because he felt that they were not conducive to people's spirituality. They were bad, and he felt that it was, he had to do a tikkun, he had to repair. He wanted to buy it back from them, right?
Amazing.
And he had other tremendous programs that he did to help the Jewish community grow spiritually. And he used to speak every night. He used to go out and lecture and talk and speak about growth in Yiddishkeit and growing in Judaism and connecting to God. Like, this was his mission. Unbelievable. And he left everything. I will just tell you something amazing, okay? He says that when he started his journey, his wife said, it's either me or Judaism. It's either me or Judaism. You're crazy, and I want nothing to do with this. You hear this? She's like, I'm out. He said that, and he had a book of the Rambam on the couch, where he would sleep on the couch. His wife was would sleep in the bedroom, and the next day they were going to go to the Beit Din to get their divorce. And for whatever reason, his wife picked up the book of the Rambam, and she started reading it. And she didn't stop reading it. And she continued to read it. And then she says, the next morning, he's like, okay, we're going? She says, we're not going anywhere. He said, did you see the book of the Rambam? Did you see what he says? What are we doing? Right? And unbelievable. Now, I'll tell you, there's another great Israeli personality who passed away a couple of years ago. His name was Aryeh Einstein. Aryeh Einstein is one of the I don't know what you would say, like the most prolific, I don't want to say prolific, but most talented composers and singers in Israeli culture. I mean, his songs are like I don't know, who would you say is like America's icon? Neil Diamond, the Beatles, right? You can give, there are many, Frank, right? There are many people you could say like that was right. Israel's a lot smaller than the United States, you imagine, right? In size, I mean, he was the name. His whole family all became Torah observant Jews, and I think 2 of his children married Uri Zohar's children. They were best friends, and 2 of his children married Uri Zohar's children. Right? An amazing person. But that was his statement. That was what he said. He said that you think I'm great because I changed my whole life for Torah. I know that it's empty on the other side. It's the kid who grows up in Torah and thinks there's something on the other side. He's much greater than I am. I think it's such a powerful word, such a powerful
Can I ask a question?
thought. Sure.
How many years ago did this guy become observant?
I think maybe 30 or 40 years ago. 30.
Wow.
He was at the peak of his career.
Yeah.
He was at the absolute
curious.
peak of his career. And he was very cynical. You can hear, he talks about it. You can search online Uri Zohar telling his story and listen to it. It's on, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Right, there you have a picture of him there. This guy was like, he was the it character of Israel. I mean, he had Israel at his fingertips. There was nothing that wasn't, just unbelievable, we think sacrifice, but it wasn't a sacrifice. He says he gave his life to the real happiness, to the non-empty side of life. Okay. Ramchal explains the point of this analogy. He says, one who has not yet become ruler over his evil inclination, who betoch hashvilim is still among the paths. Lo yuchal avchin b'neihem. He's unable to distinguish between the right path, the wrong path. But those who rule over their evil inclination, that have already reached the pavilion, they've already reached the inner circle, and have already emerged from the paths, and from their exalted vantage point have now seen all of the ways clearly before their eyes. They can advise whoever wishes to listen, and they are the ones we must trust. And indeed, what is the advice they're offering us? Bo cheshbon. Come unto cheshbon. Cheshbon means to evaluate our ways. That is, come, let us make an accounting of this world. Bo v'nechashiv cheshbon shalolam. By weighing all of our actions as explained above. Ki kvar hem nisu v'ra'u v'yad'u. Their advice is surely sound, for they have already tested, seen, and understood that this alone is the correct way to go. For a man to reach the good that he seeks, this way and no other way. Okay, so we're going to end here with tonight's class on Ramchal. God willing, next week we're going to finish off the last paragraph, and we're going to learn a little bit of a summary, and then continue on. How do we really acquire this trait of vigilance properly? Yes, what's that?
Next week.
Oh, not next week. Sorry. Next week, Monday night, we're not going to have a class because it's going to be Shavuot, the last night of Shavuot, the end of Shavuot. But the week following, we will have our regular scheduled programs. I look forward to seeing you all. Have an amazing Shavuot. I do want to just let everybody know, just very important. Shavuot at night, there's a custom that the Jewish people stay up the entire night and learn Torah. Why? Because we're about to receive the Torah that morning, right? The Jewish people. And sadly, when the Jewish people were in the desert, they said, you know what, tomorrow morning, what time? All right, I'm going to go take a nap, right? And they went to sleep. And sort of to repair that sleepiness, we stayed up. Since then, there's a custom for the Jewish people to stay up the whole night of Shavuot to learn Torah. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to have classes. All the topics are on our website. I look forward to seeing you all there. There's going to be food all night. The classes are going to start at 11:30 Saturday night. Okay, this coming Saturday night at 11:30. Let's see. Even if you come to one class, come to two classes, right? If you come to two classes, come to mine. Okay, just saying. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But there's a great lineup of classes. Every class is 45 minutes long, right? There's food the whole night. It's going to be a remarkable evening. One you will not forget, and you will not want to fall asleep.
Yours at 4 o'clock.
Mine is at 4 o'clock. That's correct. My class is at 4 o'clock. No, it's actually going to be at Hamish.
It listed the first two as women only. Are there going to be men's classes starting 11?
There is going to be a men's class. We're going to have other men's classes. It's fine.
Okay.
Whoever comes, the men who come for those days, because many times the women say, we'll be there at the beginning of the night, and then we want to go to sleep. So we made special classes just for women at the beginning of the evening.
David told me I had to sign up online because.
You don't have to sign up
Because there weren't. So I hurried up and signed up online. It says there's still only 96 vacancies. So.
That's correct. That's correct.
Are you teaching at 4 o'clock? Here?
No, at Hamish. It's on the website. The address is on the on the website, torchweb.org. My friends, have a terrific evening. Drive safely. Oh, we start. Oh.
No, we got another class.
Class is starting in 3 minutes. Sorry, breakneck through the Bible. Have a good night, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us.